Hi, I'm Claire, and this is Read for Initiative, the Dungeons & Dragons inspired TBR game that I use to pick what I read every month. If you've never seen one of these videos, the basic idea is that I roll some dice to decide how many books I should read in the month, what those books should be, and then at the end of the month I score my reading from the last month, I get some XP, there's buffs and debuffs and character classes and all that good D&D stuff. So let's get into it and I will explain as we go along. So I ended last month on 10,936 XP, which is a level 11, and for August the dice decided that I should try and read 6 books and fulfill 8 reading prompts. I've got all my documents on my computer to the side, so that's where I'm looking if I'm looking away from camera. Now, in August I wanted to try and read as many ARCs as possible for ARC August. If you don't know, ARC stands for Advanced Review Copy, and it's when a publisher sends you either a print copy or an electronic copy of a book to read ahead of publication and do a review. Personally, I have an extremely poor track record for reading my ARCs on time, which is why I wanted to try and focus on ARCs in August, and we will get back to that, but I didn't do so great at it. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna lose points on the ARCs. Now, I did read 8 books in August. I finished The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon and Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I started those books way back at the beginning of lockdown, I think, and then put them down. I was super happy to finally finish them because A, I enjoyed both of them quite a bit, and B, it was like a bit much to have those books in my currently reading for so long, especially since I was reading them for the BookTube SFF Awards where I was a judge this year, and so it was kind of stressful to have them unfinished. I'm counting them for this month because I only count books for like XP for this game once I actually finish them. If I finished a month with a book in progress, it doesn't count at all. It's just so much easier to count points that way, trust me. Aside from those two, I also read Recursion by Blake Crouch and The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. Also, for the BookTube SFF Awards, I finished reading Hood Feminism by Miki Kendall. And then the last 3 things that I read were ones where I was trying to fulfill prompts on the TBR. However, they all got kind of swapped around. I read The Survival of Molly Southbourne by Tade Thompson for a 2019 release. This wasn't actually an ARC. I bought it myself, but you know, it was a 2019 release and I needed something even shorter than what I'd originally planned if I wanted to actually finish reading anything else on this TBR. We've also got Giant Days Volume 13. And finally, I read Would She Be Gone by Melanie Harding Shaw for a book under 100 pages, just because that was a brand new book that I received in my quest to acquire all of the books by New Zealand authors to do a big post-Worldcon TBR. Finally, all of the books have arrived, so I can film that hopefully at some point this week. I'm very, very excited to share all these books with you. Now, in terms of amounts read, this was a very successful reading month. I read 8 books. The dice only wanted me to read 6, so I'm doing great there. However, in terms of reading prompts, not so good. I only completed 4 reading prompts out of 8 that I was supposed to do, and that is only because I'm being quite generous to myself and I'm counting Priory of the Orange Tree as my epic fantasy read. I know I started the book way earlier in the year and then I just finished it this month. However, I did read more than 500 pages of this book in August. It's a giant chunker of a book, 800 pages plus. So, you know, even like 3/4 of this book is still quite a decent amount, and I think it's enough to fulfill the prompt. I also read a 2019 release, The Survival of Molly Southbourne, a graphic novel, Giant Days, Volume 13, and a book under 100 pages. That was Would She Be Gone. For everything else, I did not have the time to do it after I finished everything for the BookTube SFF Awards, so I didn't read a YA SFF book, or a magazine issue, or a most anticipated book, and I did not repeat a prompt. Now, let's count some actual points. As I was saying, I did well in terms of amounts of reading. I read 2,239 pages, which gives me 2,239 XP, because the rule is that I get 1 experience point per page read, and then I get a level every time that I hit another 1,000 points. So now I'm at 13,175 XP, which bumps me right up to level 14. I also got an extra 100 points for reading 2 extra books, but minus 100 points for only doing 4 out of 8 reading prompts. So that is no change. Again, I think the same thing happened last month, so this is quite interesting. I also get bonus points for reading books under 250 pages, and I read 2 of those this month. Comic books don't count in this just because of the way that I wrote up the system. I will have a video explaining the system of the game, hopefully before the end of the year. I'm really hoping I can release it in time for like basically everybody who wants to do this game in 2021, like through the year, to also do it. So I need to put a lot of work into refining the game because there's a lot of things that's unbalanced and doesn't work. So I need to work on that before giving you all a version that you can use. In any case, I get 50 extra points for reading 2 shorter books. So that is 13,225 XP. And then we have my side quests, which I've talked about before. I didn't end up scoring them last month because I was really like overwhelmed and didn't know at all where I was. That is still the case in terms of my TBR side quest, where I'm trying to reduce the number of physical books that I have in the house. I know I've gone up by like 30 books or so. Now if I keep that in the game, it's just gonna tank my entire score. And I don't really mind that because the score is just a number. I don't have like a punishment of having to do specific tasks if I fail. But I feel like at this point it's such a big thing. Instead of talking about this in this video, I think I'm gonna try and do a separate video where I talk about the state of the TBR, because for instance I bought 15 books, I think 15 plus books for my book haul of books by New Zealand authors that I heard about at Worldcon. That was, you know, all purchased specifically for a video because I think it's just important to showcase, and I hope that I'm gonna read all of those books, but I don't want to like punish myself for, you know, having that video idea and deciding to do that, if that makes sense. So that's my waffly way of saying that I'm still not scoring that this month. I'm definitely going to do another video, I think maybe next year, when I start doing like the refined version of the game for 2021. I'll do the side quest as like side update videos as opposed to doing them every month, because I feel like otherwise it kind of gets the scoring section a little bit bloated. In any case, my second side quest is to do better at reviewing books that I request on NetGalley. So trying to request fewer things and be a bit more intentional about what I request, and then actually reviewing the books that I request. This was going to be my focus for August because of ARC August, and I failed. So dramatically. I don't think I read a single arc in August, so well done me. I was so focused on finishing those BookTube SFF Award books before the deadline and to have time to think about them, and then once I was done with all of those, it was like, there's like 4 days left in the month, and I had a bit of a panic and tried to read really short things. So there you go, that's what happened. I requested 6 new books from NetGalley in August and did 0 new reviews. So that is 150 points off of my total score. I am now at 13,075 XP. Thankfully, I'm not losing a level at this point. I'm actually recording this on the 8th of September. I've had a really hectic work week because it was so busy with some new game releases at work. So, yes, I'm doing this about a week into the month, so I'm gonna hopefully try and not give myself too ambitious of a TBR because, you know, I don't want to feel bad if I can't read, you know, that many books in just 3 weeks. It is not really up to me because the dice is going to decide. So let's move everything around so that I can film myself rolling dice, and let's get started. Alright, we're back, and I'm going to start by rolling for Constitution. This is going to tell me how many books I should try to read this month. I'm using a basis of 5, so if I roll high on this d12 here, I'll have to read way more books than 5, and if I roll low, I can take it a little bit easier. So let's get started with our first roll. and I've got a 4, which is -1 book in my table. So I've got to try and read 4 books in September, which should be extremely doable. So the dice is being kind to me so far this month. Next up, I'm going to roll for initiative, which is going to tell me how many reading prompts I should try and fulfill this month. This is also on a base of 5, but I'm rolling it with a d20. So it can go like way lower or way higher in terms of how many reading prompts I should do. So let's do our initiative roll. And I've got a 5, which is -1 prompt on my base of 5 prompts. So once again, the dice is being very kind to me. This month, I've got to try and read 4 books and try and fulfill 4 reading prompts. So the way that this works is that I have random encounter tables that I've filled with reading prompts, and then I'm going to roll a d6 to decide which of 3 random encounter tables to pick from, and then I'm going to roll a d10 and a percentile die to pick a number between 1 and 100. Obviously, there's not 300 reading prompts in there because I had to come up with all of them, but there are quite a few and they are fun, so let's get rolling. My first reading prompt is going to be in the second table, because obviously d6, 3 table, on a roll of 3 and 4, I go to the second table, and then we have 32. And prompt number 32 in the second table is to read a romance book, which, yes, that's a great prompt. I'm very, very glad this prompt happened because I love reading romance. I read romance pretty quickly and it gets me in the reading mood always. So that's a great prompt. So I've got a couple of options for this. I recently read Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert and absolutely loved it. So I am really eager to pick up the next book in the series, which is Take a Hint, Danny Brown, and it's about Chloe's sister, Danny. I really love the characters in the first book, so I'm really intrigued to see where this goes in the second book. And now that I'm looking at the Goodreads page on my laptop, I recall reading the synopsis for this before, and it has fake dating, which is one of my favorite romance tropes. So that's definitely probably my number 1 contender. The other one that I had in mind is Deal with the Devil by Kit Roker, which is post-apocalyptic romance. So it's a mix of SFF and romance. The series is called Mercenary Librarians, which sounds so fun. And my friend Jenny over at Reading the End in particular absolutely adores this book. Definitely trust her taste. That's another possibility, and that one I've also got an e-arc of it on NetGalley. Even though it came out in July, I still have the e-arc, and I would still like to, read it kind of like soon-ish, say before award season next year, and do a review and talk about it. So that's another, possibility, but I feel like both of these will read quite quickly. I'm not 100% decided which one I want to read next, that's for sure. Now for my second roll, we've got, again in the second table, number 15, and that is Wildcard from the TBR. So Wildcard means I can just read whatever I want as a mood read during the month from my TBR. So that's really exciting. For this one, by the nature of the prompt, I'm not going to decide straight away. That'll just be like whatever I want during the month. But I've immediately got some ideas of things that I might want to go for. Savage Legion by Matt Wallace is an epic fantasy I was going to read in last month's TBR and didn't get around to, but Matt is a friend of mine. I definitely want to read the book, and I've heard so many great things about it, so this one's a possibility. Next up, I've got another most anticipated book, and that is Seven Devils by Laura Lamb and Elizabeth May. This is a feminist space opera, and I've got this gorgeous copy from Illumicrate with pinkish sprayed edges and a purple cover. Absolutely love it. I've read from both of these authors before and really like their work, so can't wait to see what they do as a collab, basically. Next we have Alatsoe by Darcy Little Badger with illustration by Ravina Kai. It's set in this alternate universe where magic is real, and Alatsoe is this young Apache woman who has the magical gift of speaking to, I think, dead animals and like hearing their thoughts. and she uses that ancestral gift to look into the suspicious death of a cousin of hers. I'm very intrigued by this one because the cover is so beautiful and I've heard so many great things about it, and I don't know anything about Apache or Native American mythology really. I just want to read more own voices works by Indigenous authors in general, so this is another great contender. I mean, this is basically what my TBR would be for the month if I just did a TBR, as opposed to having a game that tells me what to read. We've also got the extremely shiny Death Sets Sail by Robin Stevens. This is the final book in the Murder Most Unladylike series. I feel quite bittersweet about it because it's an extremely good series and I don't want it to end because I want loads more. But on the other hand, I think, you know, in terms of the story, the narrative, the artistic integrity of the whole series, it's probably better for it to have an endpoint. I just wish it was many books away. It's about two schoolgirls who have a detective society and investigate a bunch of murders, and in this one they're going to Egypt and sailing the Nile. It says in the front, "Is this the end for the detective society?" And in back it literally says, "This time only one of the detective society will make it home alive." So I'm assuming that means one of them stays in Egypt rather than one of them dies, but maybe I'm wrong and maybe she goes there. I don't know, but I need to find out really soon. So there you go, wild card from the TBR. Might be one of these, might be something completely different because there's like 125 books on there, maybe. So many more than when we started this year with the goal of going down. But I'm not spending money on anything other than books this year because travel is not happening, so you know. Roll number 3 is in the third table, number 78, and that is read a book with pink on the cover. Interesting. Would we say that this is pink on the cover? I mean, it has pink sprayed edges, but I guess it has pink on the cover, right? So that might be my way of getting this one to be on the TBR. I'm wondering if Take a Hint, Danny Brown also has, it does not have pink on the cover. But yes, I think I'm definitely going to go for Seven Devils by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb because it is a very recent release that I'm really jazzed about reading, and that means that I can pick something else for the wild card from the TBR, which is very, very exciting. And for our final roll today, we've got in the first table number, is that a 9? I think that's a 9. Yeah? No, that's a... I'm so smart. We've got 61 in the first table. And this one is wild card from e-reader. This is really exciting. 2 wild cards a month. So I've got a ton of stuff on my e-reader, specifically every single book that I've requested from NetGalley I've put on my e-reader. I've also got a lot of romance on there, so if I need to double up on that one romance prompt for any reason, it could go with the wild card from e-reader, but with 4 prompts I don't think I'm gonna have to double up. I could also read something from my NetGalley so that I have stuff to review. That would be great. I think I'm going to try and do that. Again, it's a wild card, so I'm not going to say immediately what it is that I'm going to read, but there's so many things on NetGalley and in my e-reader that I'm really excited to read. I got an arc for Blazeroth Games by Empara Ortiz, which is a YA SFF book publishing in October, so it'd be really great to read it in September. And the synopsis says, dragons and their riders compete in an international sport tournament in this alternate contemporary world fantasy, which sounds amazing. As many of you will know, Dragon Riders is my jam. I imprinted on Dragon Riders of Pern as a youngling, and now anything that has like people and dragons working together, I freaking love. And also I love a sports tournament game competition thing in a book, so this sounds just amazing. It's also, of course, going to be Latinx Heritage Month really soon, so that would be a great one to read for that. I've also got a whole bunch of NetGalley review copies of novellas that I'm really, really excited to get to. I got auto-approved by Tor, so I've been requesting a lot of Tor.com novellas. Really excited to get to read some of these. I've got Burning Roses by S.L. Huang, which I was going to read in August and didn't get to, but I'm still really excited to read it. there is a new P. Jelly Clark novella called Ring Shout. That one again comes out in October, so it would be great to read. Also out in October is The Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk. This is not a novella, it's a new novel by Polk, but I love her writing, so this would be another great pick. Now I am pretty excited to have such a small TBR for September because I want to try and get to it relatively quickly so that then I have a little bit of time at the end of the month to try and read some books for Latinx Heritage Month, books by Latinx authors. So if you have any recommendations for that, please do let me know in the comments. And if you have recommendations for videos by Latinx booktubers recommending things for people to read during Latinx Heritage Month, please do also let me know. I've seen Audrey's video. I absolutely love them and watch everything that they do. And I've also seen Joss's video over at Yogi with a Book, but I need to look up more of them and kind of make myself a little list of potential things to read. I'm not sure I'm gonna have time to do a video specifically about my TBR for that. It's quite hectic right now at work. I don't have a whole lot of time for making videos, but hopefully I will still manage to reload and then I can tell you about the books once I've read them. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. Wish me luck for this TBR. Let me know your book recommendations and all that good stuff. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out a previous video on screen right now. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button that's on my face for a new video from me every week. I've been Claire, thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.